you guys are great. I can't really anymore make sure that everything is on board as I used to. But yeah, hello guys. Good evening. Hope you guys are great. Welcome back to yet another live stream. This time around, I coming to you live from Kampala, Uganda. Yeah, at my balcony area. That is where I am. And I want to just look at my brother's shoes. I don't know why he just, randomly hid his shoes somewhere in the background. But regardless. So how are you doing, guys? I hope you guys are great. Welcome back to yet another live stream. My name is Tanya, Ugandan content creator, currently in Uganda. I don't know even how to, I don't know even how to. But anyway, currently in Uganda, I arrived today morning around. I have to say that we were at the border by 3 a.m. in the morning. Yeah, we were at the border by 3 a.m. in the morning. But arriving in Kampala, like the city center, it was around, I would say 10. Yeah, around 10. So as you have seen from the thumbnail to the title of the live stream, today I want to just take you through, how was the whole process. Throughout this journey, I've had a lot of people actually ask me, Tanya, if you can only help me tell me the requirements, if you can only help me tell me to pass via the border, if you can only help me tell me, how I can plan this trip, if you can only help me, give me a broader budget on how things, where for you within this period of time you have been in Nairobi, that would be good. So that's what I'm going to try to do in today's live stream. Yeah. So I want to start immediately because I don't want to just. So there are a couple of buses that take people from between Kenya and Uganda. Even before we talk about that, if you are within the East African community, you have an added advantage compared to a person who doesn't come from the East African community. And the East African community, we are talking about Uganda, we are talking about Kenya, we are talking about Tanzania, we are talking about Burundi, we are talking about is it Congo? I think also Congo is within the East African community. Then what else? South Sudan. Yeah, by the way, while I was coming, I heard that South Sudan it is really bad down there. Yeah, I heard that it was really bad down there. But regardless, in case you come from the East African community, you have an added advantage in a way that you can easily move back and forth with little to no restriction. Not, but with little restriction. So I booked my bus a day before the day I traveled here to Kampala, Uganda. And the reason why I did so is that I had to move as fast as I can in order to get here because I had something that really needed my attention. Then there are a couple of buses that you can actually book and help you move you from Nairobi to Kampala and vice versa. But I'll talk for Nairobi to Kampala because also maybe I'll talk about Kampala to Nairobi, but most of the messages I got, most of the lives I did while I was in transit, most of them were Kenyans, most of the DMs I got were Kenyans, and they're just inquiring what I can advise for them to move, on a budget or something like that. So I used Bebeto coaches. Bebeto coaches, it's a new kind of bus coach kind of, transportation system. It is not very, very old like March 4. And old, I don't mean that, it has been around for so long. So it has not been around for so long, so they still have pretty new buses. They still have pretty good things when it comes to bus transportation. I'm not saying that March 4 doesn't have the same, but March 4 still has the same. But better since they are still quite new, it is quite, it gives a little bit of class, especially if you are to travel. So I booked mine a day before, after booking it, it was 3,500 bob Kenyan shillings. Then I had my yellow fever card. Mind you, were returning to Uganda as a Ugandan. I don't need a yellow fever card, but I had mine. So if you are a Kenyan who lives in Kenya, chances are high that you'll be requested to have the yellow fever card. And I heard that you can get a valid yellow fever card from Nairobi West Hospital and also with Mama Lucy Hospital. There are a couple of hospitals while I was in Kenya asking friends who have them, where they got theirs and they are valid. So before even you make a point that you do your research about the hospital where you're going to be getting your yellow fever card. But regardless, What else? What else? What other information is important there? I think that is all. Barbato coaches are along Moi Avenue, I believe, just opposite to Kampala Arcade. Just opposite to Kampala Arcade. It is within the same area where the Riverside River Road is. Riverside River Road is. So you are within the same area. So that shouldn't worry you at all in order to locate the place. There are two buses. One bus leaves at 4 p.m. in the evening. Then the other bus leaves around 7. But I would advise you, in case you can, book the bus that leaves at 4. The one that leaves at 5 is okay. The one that leaves at 7 is absolutely okay. But now the thing with it is that most of the time, it either departs off late. Then on top of that, the services are not like those ones that are in the first one that leave at 4. So in case you can, make sure that you plan ahead, except if it's an emergency kind of booking and you really have to travel to Uganda. But in case it's not, book in time. Make sure that you book at least a week before. And when you go to book, make sure you tell them, I want a bus that leaves at 4. Yeah. So I didn't get the opportunity to move with the one at 4, but I got an opportunity to move with the one at 7. So the one at 7, first of all, we left a little bit late and it was at the top of the Mandamanos. Yesterday CBD was hot. Let me tell you, for me, yesterday I was in CBD the whole day. It was really, really hot. Like businesses were closed, things were closing up. You would feel a little bit of a surge in insecurity and things like that. But we left a little bit late, maybe also that contributed. But on top of that, also, I would say that that same bus, since it's going to South Sudan and it has a layover in Kampala, there are also other things that make it a little bit hard in order to reach in time. Yeah. But in case you can, make it a point that you leave with the one at 7. No, but now what am I saying? Leave the one at 4. Leave with the one at 4, not the one at 7. Yeah, that makes sense. So we started our journey pretty well to CBD. We had Raila Odinga, Mzee Raila Odinga's pictures planted or put on the front of the bus by the side of the road, by the side of the bus. Then we got a view vegetation, just like this you see in my background. We had to put it on the bus, up front, so that in case we find these guys of the Mandamanos, and actually we found them at the entrance. I think that is, we found them at the entrance between Eldoret, around Eldoret, Nakuru. When we have just left Nakuru, we found a large group of people, like youth, yeah, but since we had Mose's picture by the front of the bus, and we also had, those green leaves, these ones, well, because that was a ticket to get you through CBD all the way to the border. In case you didn't have that, my dear, you are going to suffer with those guys. So it was so hot, especially between Nakuru going to Eldoret, and there were very many boys. Guys, this is around 12 in the night. But these boys and girls, actually, they were also girls, and this is one thing I love about Kenyans. Not for all the bad reasons, but the good reasons too. The courage they have. Those young girls at 12 in the night having these things, vegetation. Oh God, oh God. But what saved us is that we had already planned ahead. The driver had planned ahead, and the crew we are traveling with on board of the bus, they had planned ahead. So they had, all these things to show that we are also in that mood and we are in the mood. We are in the mood because it was really so sad. The day I leave, that's the day that they announced. I was like, oh God, no, this cannot happen. No, this cannot happen. But the day I leave is the day they announced the death of Mzee Laira Odinga. So we peruse through, reach that area, and we find those boys just in the bushes, in the bushes. I'm not saying that that road doesn't have roadblocks, because someone might say, oh, Tanya, our security in Nairobi, Kenya is good. We found very, very many. I'll just my city. We found very many. We found very many roadblocks. Oh God! Oh God! Oh God! We found very many roadblocks, especially along the Uhuru Kenyatta Nairobi Uhuru Highway, the main highway that leads to Nakuru, to Eldoret, to Kericho, that same route. We found very many, many, many roadblocks, like God. But there is this one junction that we did find these boys and girls who were ready to just strike, ready to strike. But when they saw us having Muze's picture, The guys stopped a little bit. They moved out. They were, like they were trying to larry around and talking Swahili. I don't know a lot of Swahili, so they were talking Swahili. But everything was calm. Everything was calm, and we are able to pass through them. That is the only group of people we did find who, was quite intimidating throughout the whole journey from Nairobi all the way to the border that is in Busia. But regardless, we moved through very well through CBD. We found a lot of people stranded. Oh God, very many people were stranded. They wouldn't get transportation from CBD out, especially that route that route of Westlands, that route of Westland, because that is the route we take through when you're coming back to Kampala. But that route of Westland, as it goes up, oh God, very many people were stranded. The bus driver decided to, I think it's not professional, but they had to do it because we're finding mothers stranded with babies, stranded with kids. So at some point they would stop, make sure that some of these people come in. That's why if you were on my live yesterday, you would see some people standing in the way. And also in the corridor of the bus, there were some people. So we are just taking them from point A to point B, point A to point B, point A to point B, just like that. And yeah, we perused through little by little, little by little. People were on live yesterday, you guys were able to see. But the trip back, it is pretty very, very fast. Oh God, oh God. I just hope and pray that when I'm coming this time around, because I'll be coming in a few weeks to Nairobi again after Kigali, but I just hope that that trip is going to be as fun and as fast as this. Because I was speaking to a few friends and I'm telling them, even I don't know how I was able to reach here this fast. Like from CBD all the way to Nakuru, like 3 hours, 4 hours, we were actually in Nakuru. So we on the live they can witness. Like we are in Nakuru, and from Nakuru all the way to the Rift Valley, it took like 4 hours. Mind you, I think the most thing is that the traffic at night was really not so much. Maybe also because the GS, the General Service Unit, and all those people who are responsible, they had tried to make sure that they keep everything on board. So it wasn't like a lot of insecurity that would leave a lot of traffic jam. But yeah, we perused through, reached Nakuru, reached Eldoret. From Eldoret, we found actually that there's a lot of rain. Yeah, it had rained in Eldoret. I don't know why, but whenever I'm traveling to Nairobi, now for the times I've traveled to Nairobi by bus, it always rains in Eldoret. I don't know why. The first time I was coming, it rained in Eldoret. This time around, it was raining in Eldoret. Maybe because of the different, the geographical kind of the geographical kind of nature of where that place is. That there are a couple of lakes and streams, and the foresty. But it was really raining. First of all, it drizzled a little bit as we went into the town. I think that is Cheptogei. I think the town is called Cheptogei. Correct me in case I'm wrong. But as we came through, it was really raining, and I had become a little bit sleepy. I'm a person who doesn't like to sleep on board. It is actually rare. I'm a person who is really, really unpredictable, especially when I'm quite of distressed. I don't sleep. I don't do nothing. I just make sure that I accomplish whatever I have to accomplish. But yeah, by the time we reached there, most of the people were sleeping. I was awake as hell. I was awake. I was awake. I was just struggling to see that I get at least a nap of sleep, but it wasn't coming. But anyway, we moved through. Eldoret is clean. Eldoret is clean. Oh God. I'm planning, if all goes well, when I travel to Nairobi the second time, when I'm traveling back to Kampala, that would be what? Because when I go to there in December, January, February, it means that I might come back to Kampala in February in case I go there in December to Nairobi. It means that I might be here in February to start nursing school or something like that. But regardless, today is not nursing school day to talk about nursing school. But regardless, I'm planning when I'm coming back to Kampala next time. When I go into Kenya, I'll pass via Eldoret and explore that. Guys, Eldoret to me, it gave a feeling of Kitisuru. Now, if you don't know Kitisuru, I've been in Kenya for almost 3 months, and I've done most of my videos on feet. And initially, it was not intentional to do them on feet, like moving around, but I found that it was more fulfilling than actually using a car. I don't know why. It just feels like while you're on ground, you're able to imprint, the area into your mind map, something like that. So I was just moving around randomly in Kitusuru, and the same feeling I was having in Kitusu while moving around with Gabriel, seeing all the homes in the forest and how clean the place is, it is the same feeling in Eldoret. Eldoret is clean. Eldoret is clean. I've said Nairobi is clean, especially the CBD part of it where there is the ambassador and the archives. And Mamangina Street is also another clean street. You can't compare it to maybe which other street that I see. Okay, there are a couple of other streets that I see and they are not really giving. But regardless, you can't compare Eldoret to some of the different parts in CBD. Like kid you not, Eldoret was clean, and mind you, I was awake like looking at every other corner, looking at every other corner. The same route we used, it was really clean. They don't have a lot of skyscrapers. I don't say that I'm against skyscrapers in Nairobi. I'm not against. I love my skyscrapers, especially seeing them from a distance. But I just feel like they just infringe on privacy, especially when they are being built, especially over, smaller, villas and mansionettes and bungalows. For example, this is the bungalow, and someone brings in a house like this. This person, you no longer have privacy. Believe it or not, you no longer have the privacy. So it wasn't more of it didn't have a lot of homes that are in forms of skyscrapers, Eldoret. That's what I'm talking about. It didn't have that. The streets are well lit, regardless of the fact that it was drizzling and it ended up pouring so hard. You know, it was really clean. I really did love Eldoret a lot. I really did. And the first time also I came in, I really also liked it. Then on the same bus, people who were on board, some Kenyans, not actually Kenyans, okay, maybe Kenyans or Ugandans. Some of them were actually boarding off from Eldoret. I don't know why they did it that way. I thought that when you board a bus from Kampala, from Nairobi, it brings you direct to Kampala. But some people, they just put it off from Eldoret. I don't know why. But anyway, we just continued our way. We just continued our way. We had three drivers on board. One other thing I'm always scared about these long journeys. It is that I've read all horror stories about, drivers who sleep while on, the wheel and the consequences of that. But the better coaches, big up for you guys because at the start of the journey, regardless of the fact that they didn't introduce themselves and did all that, whatever they have to do to make sure that we know the people who are driving us, people we have on board, people responsible, because we also ended up having an emergency on board. That was about 6, 7 hours already on the road, but we ended up having an emergency. But regardless, we had three drivers on board. The first guy took us from Nairobi CBD all the way to the point where they have to measure the weight of the bus and also look through customs, I believe, to make sure that there aren't anything that are being smuggled into Uganda. So the first guy took us from there up to there. The second guy took us from that point where they did measure the bus all the way to Nakuru. Yeah, all the way to Nakuru, I believe. Yeah, all the way to Nakuru. Yeah, all the way to Nakuru. Then the second, that guy who took us all the way, actually, the first driver is the one who I was not so certain of. And that's why I kept myself awake because I was like, that guy was, was like overtaking. And being with Gabriel for a very long time, and, I appreciate the knowledge he has implanted in me. Gabriel works in construction and he works with those guys who build those highways and all that. So he had given me information about these, the way how they mark these roads. There are points where you can overtake, there are points where you cannot overtake. And I was looking at this guy and he was overtaking at points you cannot overtake. So that was giving me a lot of headache. It was really, really giving me a lot of headache. But regardless, we are able to peruse through. That guy took us to that point. Then we had a second driver from that point to around what? Around Nakuru. Then from Nakuru we had another driver. From Nakuru we had another driver, and that guy took us from there until up to the end of Eldoret, around the Lift Valley, where there is one route that goes to Kericho, one route that goes to Eldoret. Yeah, no, that route that finishes off Eldoret and one route that goes to Kericho. So that guy took us up to there, and we had now the last guy. But I'm not saying that whoever drives doesn't drive again. No, they switch. When this person drives from this point to this point, the other one comes in from this point to this point, like that. It's like a circle of life. So from that point, the other one took us all the way to the Rift Valley area where there is Kalenjin land. I remember Kalenjin land because that's where I think President Ruto comes from, or something like that. I stand to be corrected. I don't know very well. I need to revise my history about Nairobi, about Kenya. But yeah, around Kalenjin land. That is about the Rift Valley where there is a lot of, breeze and roads that meander left, right, and center and all that. And from there, we did find an accident. Guys, okay, I'm not saying that accidents are inevitable. No, I'm not saying that we can prevent accidents. But if you're in a small car, I don't, okay, I don't know, maybe because I haven't been so much exposed to driving, but when you're in a small car, I don't advise you to drive these long journeys. Okay, I don't know, this is my feeling. But we found a small car, these Uber Bolt cars in Nairobi that take us from point A to point B. That guy had drove. I don't know how he moved off the road into the Rift Valley. Like we were somewhere because we reached at some point and the police officers were called. Like okay, it was a small kind of a roadblock, but you would see that people had converged and they were pointing lights down there. And like a small car, those bolt cars, was somewhere down there. But they said that the guy was able to survive. He was only in there alone. He survived with minor injuries. That is good for him. But I wouldn't advise you to drive, those long journeys. Now, Nairobi, when you're in Nairobi, and I've used JKIA before, when you're flying into Nairobi, you cannot imagine that there are some vast, big lands of Kenya that are not occupied, if that makes sense. But as soon as you start, exploring Kenya through in a bus or driving or things like that, that's when you see these parts of Kenya. They are dark, pure dark, 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 hmm? Dark, dark, dark. Now with a small car, I don't know who was calculating for this guy that he will be able to peruse through and be able to finish this ride. I don't know, but regardless. The car was deep inside there. We had to wait a little bit. It wasn't a lot of time. We had to wait a little bit to make sure that some of the cars passed by smoothly, allow the, are they called the what? Are they the fire brigade officials? You know, the fire brigade officials from Eldoret, to come in, help pull this guy's car out. Yeah, so we moved through very well from there, continued. I had a minute nap, just a minute nap. Um, Between there, then we got to another point where they had to reweigh the car the second time. Now, I was wondering why they have to keep on reweighing the bus, reweighing the reweighing the bus. But I came to my attention that most of the time it is part of the agreement within the East African community that there shouldn't be, movement of excess of no, there shouldn't be a lot of courage in these buses as they would spoil the roads, something like that. I'm not certain about that. But according to what I read on board today night, it is that the reason why they measure those buses and big cars is that in case there is an extra weight, most of that time that extra weight might affect the road. Yeah. But let me know in the comments in case you're aware of that, why they keep on measuring these buses and most of these huge trucks and trucks that are carrying maize and all that. But yeah, we reached another point where they had to remeasure the car. Then from that point, yeah, we moved smoothly. From there, we moved quite smoothly. It was really raining. By the time we reached the border in Busia, oh God, it was pouring, 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 pouring. It was raining so hard. And the good thing, by the time we finished the immigration took like 2 to 3 hours. Mind you, someone might ask, Otanya, why did it have to take so long to be inside the Busia border? Yeah, why they have to take so long? Because the buses were very many. We are like four buses arriving at the same time. Some of them had a transit through Uganda. Some of them are going to South Sudan. Some of them had a transit to which other country? I don't know. But yeah, the buses were like four, and we took like 2 hours inside there. Mind you, we reached the board around 3 a.m. in the morning, but we left the board around 5:45 or almost 6 a.m. in the morning. And as you continue reaching the border, or as you drive through reaching the border, they reduce the speed a little bit because there you find very many military officers from the Kenyan side. I love Kenyan military officers. Haven't interacted with any of them, but I just feel like they're kinder compared to our UPDF in Uganda. Okay, I don't know why I'm saying that, but I've interacted with UPDF guys, Uganda military officers, because I've circumcised most of them. I've worked on their kids when it comes to VMMC, but I don't know why, but I don't feel the That hospitality I always get, especially when I interact with police officers in Kenya. I've interacted with police officers even when I'm in Nairobi and I'm lost. I interact with police officers and those guys who wear those uniforms which resemble military. But yeah, it just felt like these guys are much kinder. I don't know why. Don't ask me. I don't know why, but it just feels that way. But yeah, we found very many of them, and most of them we found they were, just making sure the guy was driving quite slow, so that when we reach them, they just go through, look through the car, make sure that everything is on point, look down, make sure that everything is on point. We found them, very many of them, especially as we came towards Maraba, but not Maraba, Busia border. And also Busia border is developed. My dear, if you haven't moved through Kenya, these are the places I want you to visit. And I'm also going to visit. Visit Busia, visit Eldoret, visit Kericho. Okay, I saw these while I was traveling, but it felt like it was really very good, nice places to retire or be there for a few months. Nairobi is so fast. I love Nairobi for myself, but Nairobi is fast. Yeah? I would give an example. If you are, for example, living in Uganda and you go to the, life at the, not the end, but county kind of life. That is the life that you would feel that is that side. I saw a couple of Naivases, quick math, so I'm pretty sure that you can still get a couple of things you would actually get in Nairobi. But regardless, we reached Busia border around 3 a.m. in the morning. By that time, I had literally had little to no sleep. Oh, I love the way how my plants are looking in the background. My little brother, I gave him my keys to my home, to my apartment here in Kampala. So I told him, make sure my plants are watered. So some of them are down here. Maybe I'll show you after the live stream. But yeah, I'll show you after the live stream. No chance. But they look good in the background. He has done a very, very good job to make sure that they are really well taken care of while I was away. He's an amazing guy. He's doing lab technology. He wants to become a lab attendant. Yeah, so he's doing a very good job. I like the way how they look in the background. And mind you, I've not been here for almost 2.5 months, but I found the house sparkling clean. He doesn't stay here, but sometimes I tell him, go home, clean around. Since I'm not around, make sure you water my plants, make sure that everything is on board. So that is good for him. He really has been taking care of my place. Yeah. Anyway, we arrived at the Busia border quite very well, and we had to move out. Now, this is the point that I want to base on my conversation when it comes to my trip from Nairobi to Kampala. Be so careful at the Busia border. Like, be so careful. All this information they give you that when you're at the airport, you don't know anyone. Hmm? That is what I want you to be when you're at the Busia border or any other border. Be so careful. Like, be so careful. Don't just allow any person to just get near you or to scam you or do anything like that, because all those cases are present at the Busia border. First of all, they are looking at you as someone who is entering into the country, and they are looking at you as someone who has a lot of money. Hmm? They look at you as someone who has a lot of money, and there are a lot of con men. Even at 3 a.m. in the morning, we found con men at the Busia border. At the Busia border. I'm so grateful, and I always tell people that as East Africans or as the citizens of the world, make sure you equip yourself with information, especially in the current era we live in. We love TikTok, we love all these particular social media platforms, but at least have 30 minutes in a day. And this is what I want to tell all my supporters or all my followers out there. Equip yourself with the reading culture and doing research about things. It is going to save you a lot, a lot. Personally, I believe that reading really saved my life. You know, reading really did save my life. I started reading quite younger because of my curiosity when it came to a lot of different things. Mind you, I come from a family where my mom, my dad, they're not well that educated. They're educated, but they don't have degrees and diplomas, and they have a few certificates. So for me, it was always a curiosity thing. Why do this happen like this? So reading was my safe space. And I'm saying this because most by the time I reached the Busia border, no one would actually come around try to con me in form of, what kilograms should you be carrying to Uganda? Do you need a yellow fever card? You need to pay customs on things like that. They were taking people in the corners trying to con them money. And I was like, girl, what the hell? What the hell? Do your research very well so that you are not actually cheated. Do your research very well so that you are not cheated, because these people, they also want something from you. Yeah. So make sure that you read about how to, information, vital information while crossing borders from one country to another by bus. It will save you. It will save you. So reach the Busia border, there are a lot of con men, very, very many con men, very, very many con men. And it was really bad. Like some people were conned at spot before even they got into the immigration inside. But for me, I had some information because I had read about, whatever the case may be about crossing the amount of weight, the amount of the kilograms I should have. I had read about everything almost. And, most of the time I keep on refreshing the information I have. So reached the Busia border. There's some guy who was trying to con me. Ah, my God, Lord. Now, for me, I'm that kind of a person. Ask. The Bible says that ask and you will be given. Whatever you ask, you shall be given. I'm that kind of a man who usually thinks in that particular format. If you need something from me, ask for me. Or Tanya, help me give me maybe 100 bob, but not just use tactics of taking away, you know, because it looks very, very funky, especially from a distance. It looks very, very funky. But regardless, someone tried to con me, and I was like, oh God, the person you are dealing with, they really have all the information when it comes to crossing the border. So, good thing I was able to peruse through little by little, get through the first line. While coming back to Kampala, actually, as a Ugandan, you don't need a yellow fever card. So you shouldn't even be conned in one way or another. You don't need a yellow fever card because they are pretty sure that you already have the yellow fever card. By the time you went to Kenya, it means that you already had it, yeah, before you are coming back into Kenya, into Uganda. But regardless, we get into the second line. That was also quite small. Police officers, as usual, they usually like want something very little, but as I told you, ask and shall be given. So I went through the second line, and because I had gifts, I had carried for a few people back home. I thought it was going to be a big issue because sometimes, you never know what you'll find, and the immigration officer you'll find, the security officer you'll find. But it was not a very big issue. I had all gifts I had. And I remember doing a video about Ridgeways, that is along Kiambu Road, and asking you guys that in case I buy these things, will they be taxed at the border, or in case I have new things? I remember Gabriel typed something and said, no way, they can't tax that. The truth is they can't really tax it, but I had a couple of new things, like things for my mom, things for my dad, things for my friends, things for my sisters, my brothers, like any person who, I'm that kind of a person who likes gifting people anyway. But yeah, I had a couple of things. So when I went through security, I had two suitcases. I had checked one in. I had one to carry on board on the bus. That one was also checked with me. I had bought biscuits and sweets and all that for kids in this particular neighborhood where I stay because they know that whenever they know that whenever Uncle Tanya is not around, when they come back, he brings a lot of sweets. So I had bought sweets and biscuits. I got them from Quick Mart CBD, Naivas CBD. So also those I had them. Mind it was a big bag of sweets and biscuits. So I thought they are going to say, where are you taking these biscuits to sell them? But no one said nothing. So I moved through. I found a police officer. She was like, she didn't know my name, but she was like, oh, in case you can help me, give me 10K, 10,000 Uganda shillings. It's like 300 bob. So for me, it's about asking because I'm a believer, I'm a firm believer in asking and you shall be given. You see these things of manifestation and asking God, like the life I'm living right now, it is life I asked God 2, 3 years ago. Ability to move the world, ability to move wonderful friends all over, ability to be in places that I only dreamt of. It is because I asked. So she asked politely, oh, can you help me with 10,000 Ugandan shillings? A police officer at the border and asked if she would be given. And I gave her the 10,000 Uganda shillings, obviously slowly so that the whole people don't see because they might think otherwise. But she was polite. And I know the situation in Kampala because I've grown up my whole life in Kampala. Civil servants are some of the least paid, and yet they do a lot of work, you know because I worked for the government of Uganda for a few years before I quit my job to go to Nairobi. So I really know, I really know. By the point someone asks politely, it means that something is not right. She was all dressed in the Uganda police office kind of uniform and all that, but she was very kind. She was like, oh, help me with 10,000 Ugandan shillings in case you have. And I was I gave her the 10,000 Ghana shillings. Within no time, I was inside there. I had my passport on the Kenyan side. I found another friendly immigration office at the Kenyan side. I don't know why, but I just feel like my energy just pulls on two good people. And this is what I'm always telling people. Learn to associate your energy with good things because good people will be attracted to you. Period. So I find this immigration officer. She was also very nice. She was like, "Oh God, so you are leaving Kenya? When are you coming back to Kenya?" She was like, she knew me. She didn't know me obviously, but she was like, she knew me. She was like, "Oh God, you have gone back to Kampala? Eh? When are you coming back to Kenya?" I was like, "I'm coming back very soon." They just told me, do put in your thumbprints, whatever, that process, how it usually happens. So within no time, I was on the second line because there are two lines. The first line, you go to the Kenyan immigration officer, have your passport stamped. The second line, you go to the Ugandan side to have your passport again re-stamped to confirm that you have, entered the country. So that was also pretty smooth. What I loved about the Busia border, especially in the entry to Uganda, the first time while I was going to Kenya by the Busia border, we are like six buses. Now, six buses, we are only having four immigration officers working with us. Each bus, mind you, carries about, let me see, one, two, three, four, maybe 25 to 30. I didn't count. But, we are like seven buses the first time I was traveling into Nairobi. And we had only four immigration officers. So, just imagine the headache and the lines which were there. This time around, there were four also immigration officers, but they worked smoothly and faster to make sure that every person gets every person gets into the country safely without a lot of hurdles. Now, one thing that I did realize after I had everything done is that some people travel with forged documents. I don't know why, but in 2025, I don't know why, because recently I saw a lady, she flew into USA with a passport of a country which is not even known on the map. But those situations were also vivid and very evident at the Busia border. So some people had to be put on side. Some of them had Ugandan national IDs, but fake Ugandan national IDs. So that was really bad. Also, they had to be pulled aside, especially I believe citizens of South Sudan. Yeah, citizens of South Sudan. Yeah, some of them were pulled aside because of that, but they were able to, merge out, and some of them, actually two of them, we didn't go with them. We had to leave them at the border because of that. But regardless, yeah, that was also pretty a smooth one. We just went through immigration. At immigration, there are points where you can eat, regardless of the fact that it was quite early in the morning, but they had coffee, they had sausages, they had eggs. I liked that. While I was traveling to JKIA from Entebbe International, my Entebbe International Airport is just close to me here, where my apartment is. It is just close. Like I bought 1,000 Uganda, no, 2,000, 3,000, it's not 3,000, like 2,000 Uganda shillings by a bus to Entebbe International Airport. It is just my neighbor also here. About maybe 20, 30 bob, 20 bob, no, not 20 bob, 30, 45 bob. So mind you, the first time I was traveling to JKIA from Entebbe International Airport, I like the way how the airport bit of cafeterias do look like, and at the Busia border they have tried just a little bit to imprint the same energy, just a little bit. So at least you are pretty sure that regardless of the fact that you arrive in the morning, you'll have something to eat, so you will not starve at all. You will not starve at all. I really did like that. Wekesa is in the building. Hello, Wekesa. Thank you for watching the live stream. I arrived safely in Kampala. I've been sleeping, so I just said, let me just come here, do this live before it can get busy. Because a lot of I have to now do a lot of different things while I'm here. There are a couple of projects running in Kampala. I want to bring you guys along. But I want to just plan ahead. So I had to get out of bed, do this live, get it off the list so that I can continue. But thank you for checking on me. Jotham Muturi. Hello, Jotham. Thank you for watching the live stream. I appreciate you, Jotham. I love Kenya. I think you can see. I love Kenya. I love Kenya. I love Kenya. I'm back in Uganda, but I was like, in case there is a way how I would pack up this house. This is my house. I'm renting in Kampala. Eh? This is my house. I was like, in case I have a way how I can pack up this house and go with it to Kenya, that would be amazing. That would be really, really amazing. But I have no way. But maybe this time around while I come, I have to either move out of this house or do something because paying two things. I was paying this house, also trying to live a life in Kenya. That was expensive, very, very expensive. Yeah. Oh, you sent me an email. I'm going to make sure I check it out. I'm going to make sure I check it out. Yeah, I'm going to make sure I check it out. I'm coming back to Kenya, Jonathan. Yeah, is it Jonathan? Yeah, Muturi. I'm coming back to, yeah, I'm coming back. I'm going to reply. Trust me, I'm going to reply. I looked for that email that day you said you sent me that email, but I didn't get it. Or maybe you can send me a WhatsApp message. Let me just give you my Ugandan line so that you can send me a WhatsApp message. Nef doesn't like this, but Nef is a friend from the States. 25675068400 2. So I'm going to just send in that number right now so that you can go send me a WhatsApp message because that email might be, in the spam box. And also I have someone who manages my emails, and sometimes she works on, a strict kind of, so maybe she missed out that. But just send me a message. I'm going to leave my number right now. It's what I'm typing, so that you can send me the message directly in case I fail to find the email. So it is plus 25675068400 2. Yeah, just send me a message there. I have just put it in the chat. Just put it in the chat. Just send me a message there. You will reach me directly. That number is not for scamming other people who might be, because other people are going to rewatch this, so they might try to scam me. Please don't. Please don't. Please don't. Anyway, where was I even? Where was I? I think I was at the border conversation. So we get through the border very well. At the border, actually, guys, these guys are very serious at the Busia border. Don't carry illegal things. Yeah, someone was carried with a bag of marijuana. Yeah, some person was got with a bag of marijuana, and that was so bad. And he was one of us Kenyans, because I'm also now Kenyan. One of us Kenyan, and he was a Kenyan guy. I don't know what they are going to do for him, but yeah, he was caught at the border with a bag of marijuana. I don't know. I don't know how people think, because in case you want to bring in marijuana, why should you use the border? Why? You know, there are different options. I will not talk about them. But as Africans, as people who have grown up near borders, you know that the border point is not the only point. Why should you use the main border point? So he was saying, I think the narrative we are hearing while on board, it was like, he was tricked into carrying the bag with marijuana. I don't know. I don't want to give information about that, but yeah, someone was also held, because of that. But for me, it was really quite smooth. They checked those buses again. Now, UPDF, Uganda Police Defense Forces, they don't play about Uganda. And this is one thing I always tell people. Kampala has its own issues, like we are underdeveloped. That is the absolute truth. Because when I came into Kampala, and I was just looking at the streets and some Kenyans who were on board, I was very, very ashamed. I was ashamed of my country. We had some Kenyans who were also visiting Kampala for the first time. I interacted with some of them. Some of them were going to the Namugongo Shrine. Remember that Namugongo Shrine is here in Kampala, Uganda. It's one of the pilgrimages kind of places for Catholics. So some of them were going to Namugongo, some of them were visiting friends, some of them were here for school. But I was very ashamed. I was very ashamed. I was like, no way. We are coming from whatever is described as beautiful, and we are coming to this. Man, we need to work on ourselves. We need to really work on ourselves. We need to really work on ourselves. Kampala is not giving. The first time no sooner had I stepped here, I felt sick. I felt dizzy. I don't know, maybe because it's just because I like Nairobi more, but I don't know. But we need to work on ourselves. But one thing for sure I know, it is the security. The UPDF really tried their best. Like those guys, they checked that car again and again and again and again and again and again and again like we are standing there. Mind you, reached the border at 3, but we left the border around 5:40. 5:40, almost 6. Those guys were checking that car. That's one thing I love about the UPDF, the Uganda Police Defense. They really try to make sure the security is kabisa. So we are there for a few minutes. They check the bag, check the bus over and over again. Within a few minutes, within a few hours, actually, not a few hours, within 1 hour, they were done with that. They rechecked the bag, and that's how they came to see the guy who was carrying, the drugs into the country. So he was put on the side. I don't know that sentence for him or what is next for him, but I think it's a very big issue. But regardless, We came back on board. I was able to do a mini live, but I was partially asleep. People who were on live, they saw I was partially asleep. But yeah, within no time, we had entered Uganda. Yeah, we were on the Ugandan side, and we passed through Ginger. Now, if you have never been to Uganda and you really want to experience the side of Uganda that grows a lot of cash crops, use the Marabusia border. Guys, I've been in Ginger two, three times in my lifetime, but this time around, I was able to experience Ginger from a perspective of a traveler passing through. The roads, the government have really tried to do those roads in Ginger, maybe because of the Busia point, but they have really, 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 really tried to do those roads. They have really, really tried. Also, on the side and side, you can see the sugarcane. Now, Ginger is known for sugarcane plantation, and there are a lot of Indians who do a lot of business when it comes to manufacturing, when it comes to especially industrialization. It's a lot in Ginger. But you would actually see, oh God, those fields looked amazing. Amazing. It is one beautiful thing I've seen today in Uganda since I came. Haven't seen a lot of beautiful things yet. But one thing I did see in Uganda here, since I came this second time, it was those fields. They looked so good. Like the sun, oof, going through the fields and seeing the young kids rushing to school and the boda boda. It felt like home I had missed but not wanted to associate with. I don't know why I said that, but that's the energy it was giving. It felt like home I've really missed, but I didn't want to associate myself with it a lot. Yeah, but yeah, Ginger looked amazing. Ginger looked amazing. Also, when we reached the border, the Barbato drivers from Kenya, we came all the way from Kenya to the border. They stopped driving. Then we had another Barbato driver from the border of Uganda who brought us into Kampala, Uganda. So that guy was also good. For him, he introduced himself. He said his name is this. After giving us his name, he, told us that he's going to be our driver for the next few hours to Kampala. Then he told us that they are going to have different drop-off points. For example, people are living off in Mukono, Kireka. Now, those are like estates. As you guys have estates, we also have these places, but we don't call them estates. So he told us that in case you want to alight off at one of these particular points before you reach Kampala, let let the conductor guy know so that he can inform him on time, and we can have a plan on how to be able to make sure you drop off. I was so excited that we had Kenyans on board. I was so excited. We had Kenyans it was also their first time in Uganda. Yeah, the comments I was hearing from them were not that bad. Yeah, that is the absolute truth. The comments I was hearing, they are not that bad. Most of them are like, oh God, this looks good. The life here looks, I was like, oh God, no, no, no. You don't know what you are saying. I don't know what you're saying, but the comments I was seeing, it didn't feel like it was really so, bad, but it felt like they are really enjoying. But yeah, the driver informed us to do that, and people started dropping off at Nambole Stadium. We are dropping off in Mukono, Kireka, Kamocha. People just started dropping off. And within no time, actually, we use the expressway. We also have an expressway around Mukono that goes into the city center. So we partially use that and within no time in the city center. And I also got an opportunity to just alight off from there. My mom was supposed to pick me up, but she got something that caught her up early this morning that she wouldn't pick me up. So I had to use a taxi. Yeah. Mind you, when I'm in Kampala, I never use taxis. I never use taxis at all. And I was telling Gabriel and a few of my friends, I'm a Boda Boda guy. In Kampala, I use Boda Bodas because they are faster. They get me from point A to point B in no time. Point A to point B in no time. But I had to use a taxi. I was tired. I was just gasping for air. By the time I reached the bus station in Uganda, I was really very tired. But the good thing, the Barbato coaches or buses kind of team were really very good to help us also, unpack our luggages, bring them inside, and they told us that, you can rest a little bit before you can continue with wherever you have to continue. I also got an opportunity to just move around and be able to check out other buses because I'm traveling to Rwanda in 2 weeks' time. Today is 14th. I'm traveling on the 1st to Kigali in 1st of November. I'll be in Kigali, Rwanda. So I'm traveling there on the first. So I just wanted to move around, see in case they had a little bit of, that transportation, ask out what is the price of the bus fare from Kampala to Kigali, Rwanda. Initially, I wanted to use a plane, but I was checking on booking.com. They had an offer. No, Rwanda Expressway, they had an offer of $280 from Kampala International Airport to Kigali, Rwanda. But that offer, I missed it by a few hours. So the prices are back now up $430. And $430, I'm looking at that money for a trip that it is even much shorter than Nairobi. So I'm rethinking, but I think I won't take the plane. I won't take a plane because it's a 1 hour plane. And by bus, I'll be saving almost $380 to just travel. No, yeah, no. By bus, if I travel by bus, I'll be saving over $340. But in case I'm going to fly, I'm using the $430. So I might end up just using the bus. I'm young, still energetic, and I need to save up money because I want to also develop myself in Nairobi. So spending that money on a, you know, maybe you never know, I might surprise you. You never know, I might surprise you. But so far, those are the indicators I'm seeing. I missed the promotion by a few hours because by the time I reached in Kampala and I wanted to, book the ticket to Rwanda, the air ticket to Rwanda, it had skyrocketed up. And mind you, in the season of tourism. So, oh God, I felt so bad because I knew that this was a good opportunity. That ticket was $280 the day 2 days ago, but somehow, somewhere, it skyrocketed up. It skyrocketed up. And I was on phone with Claire. Claire is a good friend of mine. She lives in Nairobi, and she was just trying to make sure that she gets for me connections because she has ever worked in some of these. So she was like, "Oh, let me call a friend who works in Uganda Airlines, or let me call a friend." I'm like, Claire, let's not even stress ourselves. In case it refuses, that's not the end of the world. I can still travel by bus and make some good content for my followers. Some of them even they don't know these bus kind of, you know, you know, how all that bring you along where I'm going to book the bus from, bring you along Kampala to Kigali. Some people would love to know how much that is and the experience of that. So I was like, in case it fails, I'll just take the bus and vlog around it and maybe people will like it. And the average Africans, most of us don't fly even most of the time. I'm not saying it is bad, but averagely, most of us don't fly. But regardless, by the time I was in the bus park here in Nairobi, here in Kampala, I moved around a few bus stations to ask them to know the bus fares for Kigali, Rwanda. Some of them didn't offer the service, some of them did offer the service, some of them didn't offer the service, some of them did offer the service. But I think I'll settle with Trinity. Yeah, I think I'll settle with Trinity coaches. I'll book my ticket today. It's a Thursday. I'll book my ticket that goes to Rwanda, Kigali on a Monday. So that's when I'll be booking my ticket that goes to Kigali, Rwanda. Yeah, but the rest of that, it was pretty smooth. I was able to come back home. My mom was so happy. Oh God. I wish you guys saw her. Oh God. She was very happy. Oh God. She likes she likes praying for everyone. So she was praying for every Kenyan who helped with son to enjoy. She was praying for every person. She usually calls them destiny helpers. She was saying, "Oh God, thank you for bringing my son back." I don't know why, but parents have this narrative that even though you are an adult, you're still a kid. That's how I feel like my mom treats me. Like this man is almost 28, like, but he still looks at me as his little boy. She was very happy. She was just praying, oh God, thank you for every Kenyan who helped. We usually call them destiny helpers. These destiny helpers who helped my boy come back safely. But you protecting them, give them money, give them health. Every person, just not every person who helped me, you have prayers from my mom. She was very happy. I first of all reached her place. Then I came to my place later on to just have sleep. I didn't want to just stay there because she also likes a lot of conversation. So she would just sit me down and let me, she let me tell her all the conversations I've had in Nairobi, Kenya. And yet she watches all my videos. She might be even partly, you're not going to be watching this. So yeah, she was really very, very happy, and I'm glad, and I'm still very thankful to all of you guys who have been very supportive in this journey. May the Almighty bless you. It's a win-win for all of us. I love Kenya. I'm going to continue praying for myself. I'm a guy who is a firm believer in gratitude and how much gratitude can change your life. I'm a very, very big person when it comes to prayer. I'm a very staunch person when it comes to prayer. I do my manifestations. I have my, and this is what I tell people always. The life I'm living right now is life I manifested 2, 3 years ago. You know, I have my manifestation notes. I usually put them in my iPhone in my Pinterest kind of section on my Pinterest account. It has everything I've ever dreamt of, and the life I'm living right now. So I'm going to just continue praying for myself to see that how I can get into Kenya safely, maybe become a permanent resident there. Maybe something will come up. I'm pretty sure something will come up because I'm pretty sure that I'm in the right direction. For me, my compass is my feelings. When you learn to trust your feelings, most of the time, good things will just fall into place for you. Yeah, I think that is it in simplicity. When I come back home, I had to just sleep because this boy had done everything. He was coming, cleaned the house, did everything. Yeah, so thank you very much, guys, for watching. I think I've kept you enough up. And since we are also amidst the death of Mose Raila Odinga, I want to just leave you go on. I think I did see at the Catholic Church the Catholic Church of Kampala, they are having a prayer. I haven't yet seen the schedule of whatever is going to the chronological order of whatever is going to happen leading to the burial of Mose Raila Odinga. But what I've seen is that here in Kampala, when I arrived, I did see that there's going to be a mass to pray for him at that particular Catholic church, the Kampala Catholic Church. So probably I'll have to go there. I haven't looked into the schedule, but the schedule was announced today morning of how everything is going to be, praying for him, taking his body for final viewing and all that. But I'll make it a point that I also, indulge in that will pray for that guy. That guy represents Pan-Africanism. He represents all that is when it comes to African politics. He represents unity. He represents a seed that he represented because now he's gone, but he represented a seed with a lot of hope that I believe was not watered enough. And he's very, very absolutely sad that he stood in for 5 different times. I know destiny has always its particular kind of, you know, but it is really very, very sad that life came up that way. But regardless, I want to thank you very much, guys, for watching the video. I appreciate you from the bottom of my heart. And let me meet you in the next time live stream. I'm going to try to go as live as I can, especially while I'm in Kampala, before I travel to Kigali and before I come back to Nairobi, Kenya. Yeah, I want to end off the live stream here. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Oh, my audio. I thought my audio was bad. Actually, my audio is not bad. I thought it was bad because I was having on this, but I'm surprised that the audio is good. Yeah. But anyway, I want to end off the live stream here. Let me catch you guys when I catch you. I'll leave this live stream up so that people who have missed it can come back, watch it. But in simplicity, that was my journey from Nairobi to Kampala. It only costed 2,000. It only costed 2,500. Was it 3,500? 2,500. Yeah, about that. It only costed that. So, oh God, oh God, oh God, oh God. This other phone is having issues. But yeah, let me meet you in my next one. It only cost about 3,500 pop. And let me meet you in my next one. I have a couple of videos coming up. I hope you see them, you like them. And let me meet you in my next live stream. And then Shylock speaking out. Bye for now.